Check out what Wavlink just sent me. This is the AX1800 Wi-Fi 6 outdoor access point, and it's to replace that Wavlink AC1200 that I purchased 3 years ago and installed. This is an upgrade to that one that they want me to review and share with you. So if you're interested, hi, welcome to From Scratch Ranch. Jason here. And before we go ahead and install this bad boy here, I had a lot of questions on the previous video I did of the AC1200 install, specifically around signal strength at various distances. I recorded that I was getting a signal, but I didn't show what the strength of that signal was. So before we install this, we're gonna do a baseline of that AC1200 and record signal strength from 100, 200, 300, 400 feet out and see what we got. And then we're gonna go back and install this and then test it again, those same distances, and see how they compare. All right, first we're going to measure our signal strength right below the AC1200 Wi-Fi access point that is right up there on the corner of the barn. It's about 14 feet up in the air, and we did get a really good, well, I got a signal about 400 feet out, and it was enough for our Blink cameras to pick it up and transmit that video to us from our chicken coop to our horse shelter to the entrance to our property. So it did okay. Now we're just gonna measure that. We'll start here and we'll gradually work our way out. The app I'm using is Speed Test by Ookla. So we'll go ahead and just hit go, record that, see how fast this speed is, download and upload. And it's looking good. 387 download, and our upload from this spot right here below, 324. So we'll document this, write it down, we'll move on. $400 right here. That's pretty far. So I've taken my signal measurements from right below it, 100 feet out, 200 feet out, 300 feet, and 400 feet. And then again, 100, 200, and 300, and then 100 straight out, 200, and 300 all the way into the tree line again. Then I did another 100 from here, 200, and finally the last 300 feet down towards the tree line this way. And I did that 4 times for each distance, and I wrote it all down. I've got all the numbers, all the different directions, 4 times, both upload and download. And now I just need to get all these numbers in a spreadsheet and probably drop my lowest number, show my highest numbers, and then the average of the top 3. I think I walked a couple miles there just doing all of these measurements. Man, that was a lot. Whew. All right, we're gonna come up here and take this one down, the old AC1200 here. Have you seen my last video? I also installed a flat white cable that was here, and I did replace that with this blue one, and it's round. Based on some comments that were made in the video there, that white one was not necessarily, or the flat one was not necessarily a good cable to be using for this. So I guess I'll just cut this out of here. This is also installed with some zip ties, some plastic ones, where the new one came with some metal straps. All right, done. Let's put the new one on. Okay, let's check to see what's inside the box. So first, on the back, there are a list of specifications, what's in the box, and then also some diagrams of the 4 different operation modes it has. It can operate as an extender, a repeater, a router itself, or as an access point. We are going with the access point here because I can hardwire this into my router. I'm gonna get a better signal. I'm gonna get more strength out of that and more distance and more things that I can connect to it. So we're gonna go with the access point. Okay, so what's in here? So first off, we do have the actual unit. It's actually pretty good size, but that's no big deal. It's going to be on the outside of my building here. It's got the 4 glass tube antennas in this box here. And then we have our accessory box. And underneath here, the quick start guide. The accessories, I believe, are just like the power over Ethernet switch, the power adapter, plugs in there, a short Cat6 cable to attach from the router to the power over Ethernet, and then I'll have a longer cable that I already have run that'll go from the unit outside into the power over Ethernet switch here. And then we have our waterproofing adapter here that plugs into the bottom there. So we'll go ahead and get this thing installed and get it configured and test it out. These are all labeled with 5G or 2.4G. So I've got 2 of each. And then there are labels here corresponding to each. So there's a 5G, 2.4G, 5G, 2.4G. So we'll just screw those in. Okay, these pads, it said directions say to stick these pads onto, I'm using a pole to mount this to, so it says to put the pads right in here. Just realize that this part's not sticky, it's just padded. So I gotta put the sticky part, yep, on here like so. So that's just padded. In order to make this a little bit easier when I'm up on the ladder up there, I'm passing these through now while I'm down on the ground and getting them started. Making sure that it's on the right side. Let's see. I'll do it the same as the other side. Okay, and then I'll slide it up over the bracket up there. I actually want these glass tubes down low. I'm afraid about that soffit blocking it. It says to put it on the opposite side. Slide that over and pull this tight. I don't like that at all. All right, well, to test it out, that's good enough. I'm gonna have to remount this. I think I'll use a board or something on the back and remount it. So for this part, okay, and it came with a wrench to tighten this. Make sure, I guess it's waterproof, totally waterproof. Okay, yeah, these zip ties, I'm not liking that at all. We'll do something different about that. Okay, now for the inside. All right, here I'm up by my router right here. This is the cable that's going all the way out to the Wavlink unit. And then I got my power source for the power over Ethernet, so I'll plug that in. I've got my PoE adapter here. Power that up. That's the on and off button. The cable from the router for the data in goes there. And then out to, on the PoE side, to the Wavlink unit. Okay, let's check it out. So you know everything's working, or at least you're getting power and a connection when the green light's blinking there, meaning I'm connected to the router, and the blue light, the status, is blue. So as long as those lights come on, you should be able to get your Wi-Fi signal and then configure the access point. Okay, let's analyze some data. I collected about 250 different data points for the AC1200 and AX1800. That's both download and upload. And I summarized that data up in this table up in the top left corner, as you can see here. This is 4 different data points per distance away from the access point and in different directions. And what I did is I dropped the lowest number as a potential anomaly and then averaged out the remaining 3. And this is the results. So for download, we have 0 feet away, 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet away. Same for upload. And here are the speeds, the average speeds for the AC1200 and the AX1800, and then the percent difference of the 1800 versus the 1200. So you can see it's all positive that the 1800 outperformed the 1200. Visually, down here, I put this in a graph to where you have on the x-axis the distance away from the access point, 0, 50, 100, 200, 300 feet away, and then the speeds on the vertical axis here. This is for download, and on the right-hand side is upload. Now, I did measure beyond 300 feet. I did measure 400, 500, and 600 feet. But once I got past 300 feet, it started dropping off pretty significantly, and it was also a little bit more erratic and inconsistent. And so the data was just kind of a bit messy. Now, I did get a signal, and it was fast enough to, even like stream some video. It wasn't the greatest, but it was still something, right? So my cameras are up to 500 feet away, and they were actually streaming the security footage back to my computer with no problem at all. But I really want to focus here on the 300 foot and less. So as you can see here, when you're at about 0 feet away from the access point, it was about the same between the 1800 and the 1200. Once I got to 100 foot, it starts separating out a bit. So 316 versus the 276. And as I get to 200, 306, 201, and then 300, 264 versus 163. That's pretty substantial. You can see above here, in this graph here, I graphed out the percent difference of the 1800 versus the 1200 for both upload and download. And as you can see, at 0, it's about 100%. But then we get to 137 for upload at 100 feet and 114%. Download, that means it's 114% faster than or 14% faster than the AC 1200. And then once we get to 200 feet, it was way more substantial. So 50% greater speeds at the 200 foot mark. And then once we get to 300, even more so, 82% for upload and 62% faster for the download. So that is really, really significant. Okay, a couple other things I want to call out that are really interesting about this data and the performance of these Wavlink access points is the upload speeds. Check out these upload speeds. 311, 252, 227. That is really, really good upload speeds, and that's really important for what I'm using it for, and that's connecting my security cameras that are streaming that video back to me. So that's really, really important. Another thing is the degradation of the speed over the distance. So from 0 to 100 to 200 to 300, for the AX1800, that's only a 10% speed reduction on average across those 4 different distances. Whereas the AC1200, that's a 25% reduction on average across those 4 different distances. And for upload, the AX1800 is 19% on average versus the AC1200's 32% degradation in speed over distance. There's some pretty interesting data points, you know, and data doesn't lie. This is a pretty good product. This AX1800 by Wavlink has some great speeds over great distances, you know, for really, really good coverage area. So it's perfect for our ranch and our use case that we have here. Now, your speeds may vary. You know, it all depends on other variables that are out there, like the router you may have or the speed of the internet coming into the router itself. So I think this is a thumbs up. I think this is a thumbs up. I really do like what I'm seeing here with this data. Well, after collecting and analyzing 2,500 data points and walking over 4 miles to do so, I can conclude that the Wavlink AX1800 is a great product, and it outperformed the AC1200 fairly significantly by 50% for both upload and download speeds. With the upgrade to Wi-Fi 6 technology and the improved antennas, the AX1800 has further reach and a fairly decent signal and an acceptable speed out to around 600 feet or so. I also noticed better consistency and reliability of the data signals that were being measured at each distance for the AX1800. So there was less variation in between the different data points per 100 feet out than there was for the AC1200. So to sum it up, the Wavlink AX1800 is a great product. It's faster, it reaches further, it's more reliable, more consistent, and I do recommend this product if you're in need of Wi-Fi for a ranch, a farm, campground, or anywhere you have a large area where you need Wi-Fi coverage.